In our next video, we are getting into the specific groups of people who advise and help run the executive branch and ultimately make sure that the country is running smoothly and effectively. So here we go, getting into advisors and executive agencies. We start from the inside of the White House and work our way out, and we look first at the Chief of Staff. The President's Chief of Staff really serves almost as a right-hand man or woman for the President and ensures that the entire White House is running as smoothly as possible with as much efficiency as possible. Typically here, there's a staff of around 400 people who will work for the Chief of Staff and, of course, the President. And in a very real sense, the Chief of Staff serves as the official gatekeeper or the person who establishes what the President will be doing for each and every day, which includes who is going to speak to the President. Now, at times of special need, the President may have to make changes to what the Chief of Staff has already put together, but largely the Chief of Staff is listening to the President as the President establishes what they want to attempt to work on each and every day as the Chief Executive. Now, in many cases, the Chief of Staff will serve as an advisor to the President, and they will help the President navigate very tricky, troublesome waters. At times, even helping the President handle stress and emotional concerns, as you can imagine, this is a very difficult job. As we continue to look at those individuals who assist the President, and that includes also the Vice President, we get into the Executive Office of the President, which will largely be over 1,800 people who oversee the day-to-day operations for the entire presidency and the administration. Such examples of groups that will assist the President and advise the President in their tasks would be the Office of Management and Budget. As we again know and respect, one of the key roles of the President is to work as a chief economic leader. And while it would be helpful for all presidents to have a degree in economics, that's simply not a reality. So the President will employ this office or this department to effectively oversee how the budget is maintained, changes to the budget, and just making sure that the country is operating with financial smoothness. Another key group that will assist and advise the President would be the National Security Council. Now, of course, we had looked at in a former video that national security is of the utmost importance for foreign policy. Americans need to be protected both domestically and internationally, I should say. So we appreciate when we see the President receive advisement on how to handle or navigate very tricky affairs when it comes to potential conflicts, especially again when lives are at stake. As we dig deeper into that National Security Council, remember that this is both domestic and foreign policy. There are key advisors, but there is, of course, going to be one major advisor who will just basically, again, brief the President every single day on at least 3 major situations that need to be looked at or maintained. Some other such examples of where the President can gain advisement, again, in economics, there could be some for education, energy, veterans affairs. All of this largely filters into what are known simply, again, as the President's cabinet. When looking at the cabinet departments, there are over 15 of these that will, again, ensure the smooth sailing for the entire country and make sure that the President is addressing all needs of the American people. Again, defense is very critical, but not the only one. Energy or education or how we do business in our country alongside overseas is just as important. Within the department and the cabinet itself are critical leaders who will oversee and assist the President, sometimes even stepping in for the President when it comes to balancing the workload. For the Department of State, we have, of course, Mike Pompeo. His job is to effectively represent the United States in foreign policy. In your Department of Treasury, we see this individual working to make sure that money is being made and distributed amongst the American people appropriately, which also includes helping to decrease the poverty and decrease the unemployment rate that our country faces. The Department of Defense will help advise and guide the President as they manage the branches of the United States military. The Department of Justice will serve as a manager to largely all of those major law enforcement agencies that work to keep America safe. And then, of course, the Department of Interior, for example, will work to ensure that our territories, our resources are all being taken care of and maintained appropriately. We now transition into the actual agencies that work sort of separate, but still with the president. There are a number of corporations that the federal government has. One of the largest ones, of course, will be the United States Post Office as a way of making money for the actual federal government through, of course, the issuance of stamps or next day delivery of mail. The United States Postal Service is a very vital component of our federal government, ensuring that communication is consistent. Other executive agencies who help the president run the country or just oversee the safety of our people, we have examples like NASA or the CIA. Again, each one has their own special set of duties and powers and privileges that they enjoy as they keep the United States people safe, alongside with working to make the world a better, safer place. The president also has, as a chief executive, the ability to grant commissions to people who will serve very special positions. While they do not directly, all the time, work for or speak to the president, they must carry out their job to ensure that there is safety in our country. And so many times these commissions will regulate or, in essence, oversee special areas of our everyday lives and just make sure that we are being safe and that nothing can harm us. Such an example of regulation would be to dictate what are the fair protocols that a car must pass in order to be seen as a healthy vehicle for the environment, not pollute it. Could be to monitor the media that we put out, or maybe to look into music and movies to make sure that they are safe for all people, all citizens of the country, or to at least let people know that, hey, this movie might have some inappropriate things for children, so it's going to have a higher rating, things like that. Overall, the people who work for our federal government, again, these are your bureaucrats. These are your rank and file members who help advise and lead the president through the executive branch. Many of these individuals are personally chosen, again, by the president. Oftentimes, they will do this once they have won the presidency. They will have a ability to transition into power, and during that time period, they will start tapping and choosing who they will have represent all of those earlier mentioned departments. All right. Other individuals may be asked to leave by the president, and the president will then need to put a new person in their place. In the grand scheme of things, these individuals work for what is known simply as our civil service system. In our civil service system, we simply recognize that those people are put in power, or their position, I should say, based on what is known as their merit. And these individuals are representing a bigger component of what is known as the spoils system put in place by President Andrew Jackson, who simply recognized that since it's his presidency, he would have the ability to choose his own advisors, and would grant this power to every single president. But circling back to merit. Merit simply is the ability and the high honors and recognition and achievements of people, and we recognize that it makes sense to give people who have been awarded for their great work and their abilities in certain areas government positions, which connects to the Civil Service Reform Act of 1883. And typically here we just recognize that people are given their jobs based on how they do on either government tests or just in previous positions. That's it for today as we look at advisors and leaders. If you have any questions, please reach out. Thanks.